He's using my baby for marketing. I want to kill the son of a bitch. Ulysses, don't you worry, honey. Mama Arya is gonna make sure the bad man doesn't take you. Because if he tries, he's getting eviscerated. Hey guys! We're back with another episode of PowerWash Simulator 2. Gonna give our little baby some affection because they deserve it for being such precious babies. Yes, they do. Okay, so last we left off, we finished up I think it was the Nouveau house. But yeah, next up is the airship. Which, wow, that thing is grungy. Oh, look, it's Asshole McAsshole the 13th. I trust you've heard about all the disgraceful scenes at the site of that fishman statue. Way too much fuss over what is, frankly, the theft of a couple of chunks of colored glass from a very old and very poor piece of art. Naturally, I responded immediately by sending my airship to reassure the gathering crowd. Well, between you and me, we were in the area anyway, notifying any desert-dwelling outliers of my victory in the county elections. Yeah, spoken like a true politician. Stealing from sacred landmarks that really don't belong to you, and then claiming that nothing bad is going to happen because of it. That, oh, nothing, you're not in trouble. Ulysses, you silly baby. What are you doing up there on the car, you silly cat? A nice little continuity thing again. There's the gazebo we cleaned last time. Said, I just enjoy when they work that into the... Yeah, when they work that sort of thing into the world. That's a really pretty pond. I like that. That's nice. I'm just trying to see if there's any other familiar things to spot. I don't think we've had anything to do with the cart yet, though that maze looks like fun. Okay. Yeah, that baby. Hello, Bubbles. You having fun under the bench, silly kitty? Where is Squeak hiding at? There you are. You having fun in the sun, Squeaky baby? Okay. Alright, all cats have been given affection. Everything's right with it. Okay, so more continuity. There's the carnival stuff we've been working on. Thanks. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, there's some stuff on the bottom, so I guess let's start here. I always like to get the underside first, because it's not like I'm going to be able to really see that when I get the playback later anyway, so might as well start here. What do you want, Asshole McAsshole? Would you take a look at this curious collage of befoulment, Dirt Finder? We must have flown through some kind of dirt cloud. We were spotless when we took off. Either that or they were throwing mud balls at you, which would be very much deserved. With all that extra weight from the dirt, we were lucky to make it to the recreational grounds in one piece. Oh, what a shame. Maybe they need to throw more mud next time. I want to see you crash and burn, you cat-ignoring bastard. You abandoned Ulysses. You have no rights to my baby. Yes, I am still heading to fight the mayor over the cat. He will not defeat me either. I have a PowerWash and I am full of spite. So yes, I am going to do horrible, unspeakable things in the name of keeping a cat safe. And it's only against a politician, so it's not like it's going to matter that much in the long run. Okay. This is actually pretty satisfying. Part of me kind of wonders, though, does the... Nope, not you. Nope, darn it, I keep hitting the wrong button. Oh, it does work under here. Okay, that's cool. That actually works really well, okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, big head. Okay. Go ahead and get the rest of that underside done. Let's go back and hit the... Oh, darn it, I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay. Go ahead and get the rest of the bottom of this rail done. I'll get the top part of it in a little bit. I just want to try and get at least this much of it done. Let's see, a little bit around the edges. So how have you guys been lately? I know I probably asked this in a couple of different videos, but I know that we've all managed to survive the horrors of the holiday season. Looks like somebody tried to get into that panel. Interesting. But, yeah. I've definitely been enjoying the little bit of extra sleep, a little bit more rest. It's at least been nice since I didn't have to go out shopping after work anymore. I will hopefully not have to go through that again next year, but you never know. Okay, I think that's all I can get from that part. Well, maybe. I might as well just go ahead and finish up the railing. See if I missed anything else while I'm up here from the bottom green part. Yeah, a little bit here and there. Okay, there. Alright, that's everything for that part. But yeah, it was definitely a bad idea for me to wait. Darn it. There. For me to wait as long as I did to do the Christmas shopping, but I really didn't have much of a choice because I just really had no money until dead before Christmas. So yeah, hopefully next year I won't run into that sort of thing again. And we'll have some spare money to do the shopping before that, because, yeah, waiting in line at the mall 2 days before Christmas, after being on my feet at work for 8 hours, not ideal. Do not recommend it at all. What really got a chuckle out of me, though, while I was waiting there in line was the people who would be so freaking impatient. Like, as an example, I was at GameStop buying a little Pokemon plushie for my sister, Zoro, if anybody's curious. But yeah, I'm just kind of chilling, waiting in line, and I came to the mall prepared, knowing I would be stuck in line for long periods of time, multiple times. So I had my headphones in, I had my earbuds in, and I was just kind of chilling, listening to music, and just kind of, just swaying a little bit, vibing to the beat. And there are people around me and behind me in line who are doing that little whole you know that little maneuver, the thing where they're like trying to peek around and see what's taking so long, that sort of thing. And I'm just standing there thinking, dude, you were out here shopping right before Christmas. You were almost at the last minute. You have no right to be impatient. So just chill and suffer like the rest of us. Because really, there's nothing else you can do at that point. You're not making the line move any faster by being impatient. Thankfully, no Karens were encountered. I didn't hear anybody screaming about how can you not have it in stock? I need this by Christmas. No, I don't want to order it. I guess I got very lucky in that regard. Imagine there were more out on Christmas Eve, which thankfully I was not dealing with. So, yeah, it was an experience to say the least, but, not the worst thing I've ever dealt with in regards to shopping trips. That would probably be the one time I accidentally went out shopping on Black Friday with my mom, my sister, and my grandmother. And we honestly just kind of forgot it was Black Friday. My grandmother had come down to see us for Thanksgiving. And we were kind of, like, confused when we were walking around the mall, like, oh, why is it so busy? We weren't expecting that. It's kind of weird. And then, like, halfway through the day, after we'd already been, like, going around shopping, we stopped and went, oh. And we all just collectively facepalmed over not realizing that we went out on literally the busiest shopping day of the year. Which, fun fact, for most stores, there's really no point in shopping on Black Friday anymore. Most places start their sales pretty early in the month, if not at the end of October already. Like, yeah, sure, there'll be a couple of little very selective deals that are only gonna be for maybe like the week of Black Friday, but yeah, for the most part, it's really not anything too crazy or too special. So, whatever you're looking to get, chances are that you can get it like a week or so before Black Friday. And honestly, most stores have kind of realized that they make more money by just having the sales go longer instead of waiting to the last minute, and then also helps mitigate the traffic. So yeah, a good number of them will have the exact same sales leading up to Black Friday. And even if they don't, there's a good majority of places that will price match. So there's really not any point to trying to wait unless it is for sure a store that's going to be doing a very special deal, like they've advertised about it being only for those days. And yeah, occasionally you'll find something that's worth the headache and the chaos. But yeah, honestly, a lot of them will price match it if there is a difference, because they don't want you returning something that you bought just to get it for the on sale price. There we go. Okay. I think that's all from the turbines. Let's see. Yeah, looks like all of it. Okay. Let's see if the... Oh, wrong one. Let's see if this does any good on this surface. Okay. Not too bad. But, yeah, just fun little facts to think about. Not, but hey, that's just me saying that if you're trying to wait to get a good deal, it's not worth it, but I know for some people that Black Friday and going out shopping with their family and friends or whatnot is kind of a cultural thing for some people, or it's a traditional thing. And if it is, hey, don't let that stop you. If you're doing it just to have fun, then by all means, keep doing it. If you're doing it just because you like having a day of shopping with your friends or family, then do that. But don't do it because you're so 100% convinced that you're getting the best deal on that super big TV or the iPad that's never going to be on sale ever again. Because realistically, most of the time when stuff like that goes on sale, it's just that it's not even really that big of a sale. It's not anything special. It's just that it's more stuff on sale at the same time, is the way to put it. Come on, let me get up. I want to... I could do this so easily before. There. It just wasn't letting me. Jeez. Let's shorten that pole a little bit. That's good enough. But yeah, just sharing some life advice I've learned over the years. So, like, for instance, one thing I've told people before when it comes to the, like, Black Friday stuff, the only stuff that really has a significant discount where it is worth going out to get it is either the stuff that is still going to be really, 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 really expensive even with a huge discount, like yes, some of those really pricey $4,000 or $5,000 TVs, those might be half off because they're so expensive that they will still make a decent profit on it even if they sell it that cheap. Now, having said that, the other stuff that gets a significant discount that is only for the holidays is going to be the stuff that is really, 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 really cheaply made. That is mostly just Frankenstein together electronics or clothes or whatnot that are made from leftover parts that they didn't use throughout the year. Example, the Oh my gosh, I can't believe this 85-inch TV is only $200 type of deals. Yeah, always remember this little rule of thumb when it comes to technology, because this is something that I actually know a decent amount about. If it's... always think about it like a cost benefit. Whatever you're paying in that moment for that TV, or whatever electronic you're getting, it costs less than a quarter of that for the actual parts that went into it. So think about that next time you see those really, really cheap giant TVs or those $200 Windows computers. Oh, the asshole's back. I, for one, will not be blaming the security force for the heist of the gems. It's an elite unit, and how anyone got past him is almost beyond imagination. Aha. Also, don't we all switch off from time to time? That's not something you want to be saying about your security. Security is supposed to do a job and keep you safe. If you have incompetent security that is getting easily swayed and distracted, then that's not an elite security force worth hiring. That is pretty much every guard and soldier in the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic cartoon. This one will be fine. Just trying to get, like, the very top of the sky cleaned off. Which, if any of you haven't seen that show, check it out if you're into colorful ponies and really cool cutscenes. I actually really like that show. I wouldn't call myself like a brony or a Pegasister or anything like that. I know about the fandoms, and I've watched them from afar would be the best way to put it. Because I have definitely seen there are some fandoms that are not worth the headache of getting involved with them. And a lot of times, ironically, it's the fandoms for shows and media that focus on the concepts of love and friendship. Which is sad to say, but very, very accurate when it comes to a lot of things. Steven Universe, My Little Pony. What's another good example of a really toxic fandom? Undertale. Like, don't get me wrong, I love and enjoy all of those franchises. I really like them. I've written stuff, I've read stuff, I've watched stuff. I've favorited art and everything from those fandoms. But I am also very much aware that when you want to interact with those fandoms, you kind of need to make your own little bubble. Otherwise, you will just be stressed out and looking at a lot of toxicity and infighting, and you're not understanding it correctly. Or the creators are horrible, they suck. Things like that. And I am not in the mood to deal with that when I'm trying to relax and escape and have fun, you know? I want to enjoy the content and the media. I do not want to be stressed out because of fandom drama. So yeah, those are franchises that I recommend checking out, but just always be aware going into it that you will not always like the people in the fandom for something you're really interested in. And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about in regards to some of it, what are some examples? In the My Little Pony fandom, there are some who are very heavy gatekeepers, and there are some who actually bullied and harassed creators on the show, like artists, writers, people like that, harass them on social media until they quit. And then there's the Steven Universe fandom, which again, I am by no means saying that everyone in the fandom is like this, but there are plenty of people who are, And it's sad because it ruins the experience for everybody who wants to try and get into the fandom spaces. But there are a lot of toxic people in that fandom too. And one of the biggest things I've seen is people trying to claim that Rebecca Sugar should have done more. Y'all need to shut up if you think that. Ruby and Sapphire walked so that couples like Catra and Adora from She-Ra and Luz and Amity from Owl House could frickin' run. Like, I hate saying it this way, but there's a lot of people within, and it's like not a fandom, but sad truth of reality, there are a lot of people in the LGBT community who kind of take for granted all of the work and all of the milestones that it took to get to where we are now in terms of media and representation and everything. It's like, there was a lot of stuff back in the day where you could not have any sort of representation without fear of just having all of your funding pulled out from under you. And, you know, there are some people who want to cry out, oh, that shouldn't matter, you need to stand up for what's right. And yes, you should stand by your morals and values. However, when you are making something that requires funding, it's hard to do that. So, hold on a sec. Sorry, I had to pop up. So yeah, it annoys the heck out of me when there are people who claim that older LGBT ships in certain media, Korra and Asami from Avatar, let's see, what's another one? Of course, Ruby and Sapphire, and pretty much everything in Steven Universe. But, like, there are people who try to claim that those ships didn't do enough. Guys, they were the groundwork. It used to be that you only got, like, if you had any sort of gay couple, any sort of homosexuality, transgenderism, it was either played off as a tiny joke. It was only for side characters who were barely in the show to begin with. Or, oops, I forgot the under part over here. My bad. Or it was one thing that got put in at the very end of the series as like a final middle finger to the people who made it so they couldn't have it be a more regular thing. So there are a lot of people who take that for granted. And it's sad to see because Rebecca Sugar pretty much had to cut the show short because she refused to compromise on the Ruby and Sapphire wedding. And the fact that they went to the trouble of, like, see, and this is another thing some of y'all might forget or may not know about, when Steven Universe was first airing, there were a lot. It was on Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network airs in a lot of different countries, and a lot of countries have very heavy censorship laws regarding things like homosexuality. And what a lot of them did, especially I remember laughing hysterically the first time I saw it, but like there were certain countries where they made Ruby a dude. Like, I'm not kidding. You look up censored Steven Universe Ruby, and you will find old images of Ruby with a mustache. And so, what they did when Rebecca Sugar pushed, because she did not want to compromise or give up the wedding scene, and because of that, the show got a lot of its funding cut, and they had to shorten the final seasons and everything. But what they ended up doing for the wedding as a big middle finger to all of the countries who were behind the censorships is that there was a reason Ruby was the one wearing the dress in the wedding scene. Because at that point, kind of figured, hey, if we're going out swinging. Yeah. So, yeah. That just makes me laugh every time. Oh. Axel. How soon can you get to Fumarole, boss? Either this size of cement mixer comes unstuck or I do. Oh boy, what did you do, Axel? See which one's gonna be better for this general area. I think this one's still a little bit better. But anyway, yeah. They basically, they put Ruby in the dress for the wedding instead of Sapphire, because Sapphire had always been the more feminine-looking one, the more femme-presenting of the couple. And so, because, you know, her default look was a dress, so they put Ruby in the dress and Sapphire in the tuxedo, because that way, at that point, all the countries that were doing the censorships would either have to waste a ton of money on reanimating and redrawing those specific scenes, or they would have to deal with a cross-dresser on a character that they were trying to push as masculine. And I just think that is hilariously petty and 100% something I would do in that situation. But, yeah, like I said, it is still sad to see that there are people in the fandom and who look back at those shows and try to say they should have done more. They did a lot. I remember having a conversation once with one of my coworkers. For this conversation, let's call him Jay. So, Jay was really nice. He's a Mormon, but he's also a Republican. But he's what I would consider an intellectual Republican, because unfortunately, with every type of political group, you have different levels of them. And when it comes to Republicans, you either have the ones who you can actually have discussions with and debates without them getting all heated and calling you a communist or a filthy liberal because you disagree with them. Or you have the people who will just kind of parrot back whatever they hear from the media. So yeah, he was one of the ones that I liked having debates with. I don't mind talking about things like religion and politics if the person is doing it from a place of respect, and also they have valid arguments, not just, well, you're wrong because I said so. Those are some of my cousins, honestly. But yeah, he was one of the people I liked having political and religious discussions and debates with. We both were very calm about it. We never got heated or anything. There would be certain points where we'd have to agree to disagree. And because he was from a heavily conservative and religious background, we did have debates many times when it came to things like LGBT representation in the media and everything. And he said one time during Pride Month that he doesn't really get why we still need to do it. He said that he didn't fully understand why we were still trying to, fight for rights that we already had. Why do we have to try and force it every single year? I looked at him and said, dude, It hasn't even been 10 years yet that people who are gay have been allowed to get married. That is a very, very recent development. And there are still states that fight against it. There are still states that will refuse to enforce hate crime laws. There are still some places where trans people don't have rights or freedoms to get reassignment surgery. Heck, right now that's becoming a very hot topic of debate. So, like, I had to break it down for him that less than 10 years ago, when he was still a kid, these things weren't even possible. And, that did give him pause, because I think he's kind of just been in his own little bubble to the point that he never really thought about it. It's kind of like, sad as it is to say, there are people who make similar arguments against Black History Month, saying, well, they've already got their rights, so why do we need to keep talking about it? And that is something that is still, again, relatively recent in our history, guys. Like, one thing that I think is an absolute disservice is the fact that most of the pictures, if you look in almost any history book, nearly any of the pictures for Martin Luther King Jr. are in black and white. And I bet most of y'all don't even realize that there are colored pictures of him out there. And that even one of the pictures that you're used to seeing as black and white were originally taken in color. Same thing with pictures taken during the height of the AIDS epidemic. There are colored pictures. It's not as old or as long forgotten in history as we think it is. It's one of those things where we think it's so far away because a lot of us have not seen it within our lifetimes, but our parents have. Like, a lot of us out here still have parents, grandparents, whatever, who have lived and seen that sort of thing happen. Or at the very least, they've lived through the fallout of it. And to just say, like, oh, it was a long time ago, we don't need to keep talking about it. No, it really wasn't. For a lot of these issues are to the point where there are still people alive who remember that. And even if it wasn't, yeah, it's still something that needs to be talked about because it is still something that's being worked on. There are still plenty of places where you can be targeted, harassed, discriminated against, bullied for any reason because people feel like they can still get away with it. And I think I mentioned this once before I don't remember if it was in another PowerWash video or not, but one of the things that frustrates me the most, that my dad doesn't really take seriously, is that the reason I'm unhappy whenever, one of the biggest reasons I was unhappy over the presidential election results this past time wasn't because I felt like the orange orangutan could actually do half the stuff that he claims he's gonna have done. The problem isn't that. Not completely that. He wants to be, let's face it, the dude has straight up said he wants to be a dictator, and he will do it if he gets a chance. But the biggest thing that upsets me is that last time he was in office, and we're seeing it again, the people who think like him become emboldened. For a while, it was becoming very well known that, hey, you really shouldn't be acting like this. It's an old, outdated way to behave, to be racist and bigoted and homophobic, transphobic, all this. But because he got into and you like, it was a thing where like for a while, let's be honest, a lot of people weren't actually changing their mindset with that. There were just a lot of them who were being shamed into not acting like that in public anymore. But when they feel like the leader of their country is on their side, and it makes them feel like they have the power and the backup, essentially, to continue acting like that. He's using my baby for marketing. I want to kill the son of a bitch. Ulysses, don't you worry, honey. Mama Arya is gonna make sure the bad man doesn't take you. Because if he tries, he's getting eviscerated. And I will hang his intestines from this zeppelin as a warning to others. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system real quick. But anyway, yeah, so what I was saying was that the thing that worries me the most is just how emboldened the people who think like that become when they feel like the person in charge of the country validates their beliefs. They don't feel like they have to be afraid of social persecution anymore. They try to claim things like freedom of speech so that they can be hateful and think that it doesn't mean that they'll get punished for it in some way. And they honestly abuse it, because the point of freedom of speech is that you can say whatever you want and you won't be persecuted for it. But that doesn't mean that you have the freedom to say what you want and think you're not going to suffer consequences socially or anything. It's still going to change the way people view you. But like I said, the problem for that is because they feel like they can get away with it, they stop hiding. They start being more vulgar, more hateful about it. And it's honestly kind of scary for people who haven't had to deal with it before. For kids who were debating about coming out of the closet in some way, shape, or form, but now they are scared to because it feels like the world is so against them. And I don't blame them. Who would want to come out and risk dealing with that? I don't blame them whatsoever. I'm very, very lucky in that I never really was too worried about my family disowning me, at least not for the ones I cared about. Some of them I don't talk to anyway. Some of them I just kind of ignore their existence, but I never personally had any fear of my immediate family, the ones I actually care about. I never worried about them judging me for coming out of the closet and admitting that I was pan. Though I will admit that I still have issues talking to them about certain things. Mainly, like, how to put it? This is one of those cases where I kind of hope my mom's not watching. I know she doesn't watch all of my videos, but she is aware of my channel, so I think she watches them once in a while. I kind of hope she's not watching this, but I haven't really talked to her about me being gender fluid. It's not because I don't think it's not, again, I got really lucky in having decent parents who both went through a lot of crap growing up, so because of that, they never wanted to be those kinds of parents who would make their kids feel like they were unsafe. So kind of that whole, they went through the bullshit, so me and my sister didn't have to. Yay! Heavy, heavy sarcasm there. But, yeah. I haven't talked to them about me being gender fluid. My mom, I think, would be supportive even if she didn't really get it. My dad is the one I would feel the most uncomfortable trying to talk to about it. Again, he's not the type who would get violent with me over it or try to call me stupid or anything. But I remember, my biggest thing is just, I remember having, for a long time, I had a friend who was trans, and I regret telling them that she was trans. I mostly did it because, oh, hold on, asshole's back again. One thing I think we can all agree on is that the statue's practically worthless now, so there's no point in a security force hanging around. That's not suspicious at all. Tell you something else. I won't miss paying to get the darn statue cleaned every single day. I'm waiting for the volcano to blow up and just swallow you alive in the lava, you awful, awful human being. Anyway, yeah, I was saying that I kind of regret telling them that she was trans. It was mostly because her and a couple of our other friends were coming over back when I lived with my parents. They were coming over one day, and I always try to be polite and give my parents a heads up about, who was gonna be there and all that, because, it was their house. That's the right thing to do. But I was telling them, like, oh, hey, just a heads up. One of my friends is a girl, but she's trans. Just so you don't get confused or think that I was wrong about who was going to be coming. And they kind of laughed it off, like, okay, we really don't care. And the reason I regretted it afterwards is because thankfully my dad never did this in front of her, but it got on my nerves so badly when he would misgender her, and I would keep having to correct him on it. And he's not the type who doesn't believe that trans people are real. He knows it's a thing. But his whole reasoning was, hey, until they get the surgery, they're still whatever gender they were born with. And I'm just like, do you know how much money that freaking takes? Do you know how much time it takes to get to that level of being ready for that surgery? Mentally, financially, emotionally. It's not something that just happens overnight. And I was honest with my friend. I told her about the stuff he'd said and did because it pissed me off. It's also one of the friends that I lived with for a little while. And she didn't care too much about him. She didn't see him enough to care. But she was just like, what, is he gonna lift up my skirt to check if I got it done or not? She had a sense of humor like that. But yeah, it just it really pissed me off. And the reason that I haven't really talked to him and my mom about it, like I said, I have no doubts my mom would be fully supportive. She may not get it right away, but she would try. But my dad is the one who... sorry, had dust in my vents. But anyway, I know that my mom would be supportive, but with my dad, it's like, he couldn't even get my friend's pronouns right, and she only had one set of pronouns. Am I supposed to trust that he's gonna get mine right when they change from day to day? I just have trouble believing that, And, that's probably not fair to him, because I talk about what a loving and supportive dad he is, but he's also very... Nicest way to say it without cursing at him is to say that he's old school. But, it's one of those things that will probably be a conversation one day. We'll see. But my sister knows, and my partner knows, and then the people I work with know because they see me on a daily basis. And they have a lot of slip-ups. They especially my bosses, my managers, especially because some of them have known me for a long time, like pretty much since I came to the arcade. And oops, wrong button. And I guess because they've known me so long, it's hard. Like, even though I've been out to them for years at this point, it's still hard for them to wrap their head around using different pronouns for me. They try, though. I give them credit for that. They do try. But, I'm just not in a rush to tell my family, because I remember what a headache it was having to deal with my extended family when I came out as... Originally came out as bi, then decided I prefer pan more. Just, you know, I'm not gonna get into the whole debate with people about if bi is the same thing as pan. It's whatever you feel more comfortable using. I just like pan a bit better. But I'm also perfectly fine if people call me bi. But I like all genders, is basically what it boils down to. I don't care what gender somebody is. If they're hot, they're hot. The body is the wrapping at that point. I'm in it for the candy underneath. Sounds kind of stupid when I say it like that, but it's me. But yeah, like, I came out to my sister first, and then after my sister, whoops. Oh well. After my sister, my cousin was actually the next one to know. And completely by accident, because at the time when I was coming out to my family, I was dating my longtime best friend, who at the time was a girl. And my cousin, who was the one that my family and I babysat pretty frequently, she was going through a collection of drawings that my then partner had made for me. And one of them happened to be a picture she drew of the two of us kind of cuddling together. It wasn't sexual or anything. It was one of those like tasteful nude sort of things. But it was a picture of the two of us cuddling while laying in a giant flower. And we were naked, but again, everything was covered, long hair and artistic details, flower petals, all that. And I really liked that picture. It was very pretty. But when my cousin found it, she, being a naive little kid, was just kind of like, oh, what's this? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, if she tells my aunt, then my aunt is gonna gossip. And I know I kind of explained it to her in the kid-friendly terms of, oh, that is me and my partner. And my best friend. You've met her before. And she's just like, oh, but aren't you two girls? I'm just like, yeah. And she just goes, oh, okay. Because really at that age, kids do not care. Kids do not care about the gay agenda. They're just looking at stuff, and they're just waiting to see when they get their next juice box or their next candy or whatever. So she actually didn't tell my aunt I officially came out to my parents, like, I think a few months after that. And they really weren't surprised at all. They kind of had a feeling, because we were not the most subtle about it, if I'm being honest. We thought we were being sneaky, but not that much, considering how often we were around each other. And Yeah, my parents, they didn't really care, but they did warn me that other people in my family probably would, but they would always love and whoops. But they, of course told me that they would always love and support me. They didn't care who I loved as long as, I was safe about it and all that. And by that point, they'd known my best friend for several years. Like, even without dating me, she was pretty much family at that point. So, yeah. They were perfectly fine with it. And my dad always joked, like, hey, now I've got 2 reasons to not to worry about you getting pregnant. But, yeah. There of course, were there was one dinner I remember. It was a celebration for me. And I sat next to my partner at the sushi place that I went to with. Basically, it was my immediate family, my cousin and my aunt, my grandmother and grandfather. It was all of us together. And, I think I wasn't being overtly cutesy, or we weren't really, it's not like we were full on kissing at the table or anything. But apparently my aunt kind of figured out from watching me and my then partner back then, watching the 2 of us interact together, she kind of finally figured out that we were the gay. And, because apparently when we were sitting next to each other, we were holding hands under the table, but nobody could really see that. To her, apparently, it was more that we were sitting very close to one another. And apparently at one point, I didn't even register it at the time, but I said, hey, hun, can you pass me the soy sauce? And my aunt kind of latched on to that. And yeah, later on, she was blowing up my dad's phone, like, is Arya with her best friend? What's going on? Is Arya gay? And my dad's just like, that's their business, not mine. Because, yeah, he really didn't care. So, yeah, they were very supportive over all of that. But that was, again, this was back when gay marriage was still a hot debate for people. So it was sadly not surprising that my aunt immediately flipped out over finding this out. Again, it did we still see each other. She's not homophobic or anything, or if she is, she at least has the common sense not to show it. And she sure as hell wasn't going to say anything about it with my mom and my dad there, because she knows that my dad will not hit a woman because he grew up in a household raised by all women. But my mom absolutely will smack a bitch for disrespecting her kids. She has almost smacked her own family. She would gladly smack my dad's family for disrespecting me or my sister in any way. One time my great-grandmother was trying to say some crap about me, one of those not directly talking about you, but heavily implying it's about you sort of conversations at a family gathering. And my mom was not having any of it. And basically she was being homophobic and talking about people who go to that sort of place are all gay and whatnot. And my mom got really, really pissed at her grandmother. I think I mentioned this. Actually, I think it was just in the video that came out the other day from this one. In Supermarket Simulator, I talk about what a horrible human being my great-grandmother was. And how none of us in my immediate family were sad when she passed. Because She was just a horrible person altogether. And if it weren't for my grandmother still wanting approval and a relationship with her, we would not have had anything to do with her if we could have helped it. But anyway. Yeah, so my mom pulled her aside at one point and made it very clear to her that if... oh, it's the warden. DG, what are you doing hosing down an airship in the middle of my recreation grounds? Please take care not to spray any flex back onto the bandstand. We can't afford any dirtification this close to the festival. I'll be careful. I'll rinse it off if I do. But anyway, so my mom pulls my great-grandmother aside and basically does the whole quiet fury sort of moment of, you know that my daughter my daughter has a girlfriend, right? And if you keep talking like that, I'm going to slap you. And she just kind of got flabbergasted because she wasn't used to people talking back to her. Yeah, she was that kind of person where she thought that she could just say whatever she wanted, and because she had money and could pay people off, that consequences just never applied to her. And I really wish part of me wishes my mom had done that, because it would have been very much warranted at that point. But anyway, yeah, they were very supportive, but a lot of people in my extended family, I was kind of at best I was the novelty gossip. At worst, it was we don't talk about the gay stuff with that side of the family here. They're gonna get mad at us. And then, it was also me not getting invited to family events, because I mentioned previously that, not gonna name drop him as much as I would like to, but one of my, let me change the hose, there we go. One of my cousins on my dad's side is involved in local politics, and he is very much a Republican. And I basically, if there are family reunions, I get told to not talk about myself and not talk to anybody there who's not family, because he uses them as ways to get, basically uses them as PR events, would be the nice way to put it. Like the whole, look, happy, simple Southern family gets together for family reunions and cookouts. Ain't that nice? Sort of moment. And yes, it is very annoying, but I don't really go to those. Honestly, I haven't been to one in years. Just because I kind of got tired of being told things like, don't talk about yourself if you go to these sorts of events. It's like I'm just supposed to stay in the background and not say anything, just, entertain the kids and get some free food, maybe go for a tractor ride or something for a tour around the farm or something like that. And that's really about all I can do. And so yeah, I don't really do that. I don't go to those things anymore. It's been a long time since I even had the urge to. Trying to see what's left on this ring. What am I missing? Yeah. Let's see. Whoa. Well, that's one way to get a bottom view of it. There you go, get the red one out. There we go. Okay, hit these panels a little bit better. But, yeah, I'm glad that my family, I at least have good immediate family who wouldn't abandon me or criticize me or tell me I'm wrong if I came out to them. But at the same time, I just don't feel like dealing with the drama, at least not right now. It just isn't, it's not as big enough thing for me to have a headache over it, I've got enough going on in my life. And then the people that, if it did come out, like if my parents ever visited me at work or something and saw my name tag that has my pronouns on it, it kind of just turned into, well, shoot, I guess we're having this discussion now, aren't we? Kind of moment. But it wouldn't be the moment of fear of, oh no, I'm getting disowned or anything like that. It would be more of an annoyance than anything. And like I said, it's going to be a conversation maybe at some point. But it's not one that I'm rushing into right now. Because I've got other things to deal with. I've got stress from work. I've got bills I have to try and keep up and maintain. I've got this channel that I'm still very much new at doing everything for, and I'm trying to keep up a consistent schedule and get everything edited and all that. Which I think I've been doing alright so far. I've had a couple little hiccups here and there, but nothing too catastrophic, I don't think. But yeah, it's just, like I said, low on the priority list of things I need to devote my mental and emotional time to doing. If I ever do talk to them about it, you guys will probably hear about it on one of my videos. Either in a good way or a bad way. Probably an annoyed way, like, well, it finally happened. But, yeah. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, oh well. I know I'm lucky that I can have that attitude. I've got friends in both online and in real life and in work and everything who have not been that fortunate. One of my friends at work, you know what, I'm just gonna call her this because she loves this Pokemon. I'm gonna call her Sylveon. Obvious reasons, she's trans. And for anybody who doesn't know why that's obvious, look up a picture of the Pokemon Sylveon, the one with the Eevee evolution with all the ribbons, and you will see the colors, and you will immediately know why I said that. And she just loves that Pokemon anyway. But yeah, she's trans, and I'm very happy for her because she's finally getting the chance to, like, she's away from work right now because she got early approval for her transitioning surgery, and I'm so very happy for her. Originally, she thought she wasn't going to be able to do it until, like, March or May of next year, and she was worried about that because a lot of political BS going on, a lot of healthcare funding being cut, a lot of things no longer being recognized as eligible for healthcare use and whatnot. You know what? Oops. I'm gonna try see if this gets any better on these last little bits that I need to clean. There we go. What about here? But yeah, she was very much worried about not being able to, like, basically how she was gonna have to go into debt to, well, it's one way to do that. But yeah, she was worried about having to possibly incur some more debt in order to, yeah. That one's not going to be tall enough. She was worried that she was going to have to get into some more debt to be able to afford the surgery if she had to wait until next year, because she's got money for it. She wouldn't be homeless or anything, but it very much would have hit her finances really hard if healthcare wasn't able to cover, like, if her health insurance and healthcare wasn't able to cover as much of it as possible. But she got a pleasant surprise when talking to the doctors, and they said that, oh, actually, if you can get the time off, we've got an opening, we can take care of this in December. And she was like, oh, yeah, let me talk to my bosses and make sure they're cool with me taking the time off for that, which they definitely were. They said, yeah, go for it, get it done. because they know that this is a big deal and that she's been wanting to get this done for so long. But the reason I'm bringing her up is because, unfortunately, when she came out, she had some issues with all of her family accepting her. Like, her and her mom are cool, but I think she had some issues with her dad not really accepting it or being on board with it and all that stuff. Which is always sad to see. I've said it before in one of my previous videos, but if as a parent you are not able to, if you feel like you would not be able to love your child if they came out to you as anything like gay, trans, what have you, then you don't deserve to be a parent. And I will stand by that forever. Because parents should love their children unconditionally. Exceptions, of course, being there for if they do something truly, truly heinous. I am talking, they have killed their sibling or something of that nature level heinous. And that is one of the, like, that is one of those things where I can maybe understand a parent not being able to love their child unconditionally if they took away one of their other children or something along those lines. But apart from a child doing something truly, utterly heinous and unforgivable, if you cannot love your child unconditionally for who they are rather than who you want them to be, you have no business being a parent. You are not ready to be a parent if you could not accept that. And I will stand by that till my dying breath. And I have dealt with all of the annoying people who in my life who have been like, oh, well, you know, you're not a parent, so you can't really say that. Shut up. I have been working with children longer than you have been a parent. And it just gets on my nerves when people pull that sort of thing. It's like they try to say until you have kids, you can't pass judgment on anybody for being a horrible parent. Oh no, I will absolutely 1000% judge you if you are a shitty parent. If you are disowning your child, if you are treating them like they are less than a human being, if you are playing favorites and doing the golden child BS, I'm gonna judge you. I'm going to think that you are lower than scum, and I'm going to spit in your face if you say derogatory shit like that. So yeah, do not tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a parent. If you are not ready to love your child as they are, if you are not ready to wholeheartedly welcome them into your home and say, I will always love you, no matter what you do, no matter who you love, no matter what God or religion or whatever you choose to follow, then you're not ready to be a parent. Because love is unconditional. I hate to see, because I've seen it so much I've seen it happen so often to people that I care about. I hate it when parents' love is conditional. That you will only receive their love and praise and affirmations as long as you are fitting into a specific box that they have molded for you. Because that is not true love. If they are keeping tabs and constantly telling you about the things that you owe them, that is not love. That is manipulation. And it is scummy. And it deserves to be treated as the scumminess that it is. Oof. Darn it. Okay, back up we go. Let's see if I can maybe take this shortcut to the top. And I know, I'm sorry. I know I ramble on stuff like this pretty frequently. there we go. But how to put it? I may not be a parent, and there are times when I have really wanted to have kids. If I could, like, I would adopt, but that is, well, darn it, I keep falling off. I'm trying to be dramatic here, darn it. But if I could have kids, if I could afford it, if I could find a way with my current schedule, or like if I could find a way to manage it, I think I would like to be a parent, but it's not something that I think I'll feel incomplete about if I don't. I have lots of kids already in my life. I helped with raising my cousin, and I am so, so proud of the beautiful young lady that she's become. I was so happy for her when I saw her at her wedding. So yeah, even if I never have kids, I will still be, I think I'll still be content with my life from all the nurturing I've helped to do, all the kids I've helped with raising, including helping with my sister a lot. Well, darn it, I keep falling. I'm trying to be emotional here, darn it. Let me have my dramatic moments. But I will still also 100% lecture the shit out of scummy parents and relatives who try to act like they're so superior. Like, I have friends and loved ones who have dealt with shitty parents who still have to deal with shitty parents. And I am the type of person who has no filter when I get really pissed. So, if I ever am around while they are being, like, I have one of my friends, his mom is a raging narcissist, and I feel bad for him, because even though she lives in another state, she still finds ways to make him miserable by calling him and all this, and all the conversations where she makes him feel so belittled and like he's not listened to. And if I'm ever around people like that, I have no qualms with being that bitch who will put them in their place and will try to point out their behavior and how not okay it is. So, okay, what am I missing? I'm missing the ring. And I know that is a dangerous game to play, but I play when it comes to my friends. When it comes to people I love, I will 1000% go to bat for them. I will be feral for them if I need to. Is it this one? No. Which one? Which ring is it? No. What am I missing here? Ah, this one. And yeah, I will 1000% say some things that will make people uncomfortable, and we'll probably have some backlash for it later, but I'm not afraid to speak up and make people feel like shit if they're making my friends feel bad. Alright, let's see that cleanup. Okay. It's interesting to see the little patches where the colors start to really shine through. Excellent work, Dirt Finder. Next stop for my airship, the wonderful industrial town of Fumarole, to kick off my tour of the county. To be honest, I'll be glad to get that one out of the way. They love me there, of course, but they're very in your face, which is why I'll be remaining 4,000 feet up. I don't think I've forgotten about my cat. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. I will bite them off and beat them over the head with a ladder if they come for my baby. Well, still got them for now, at least. Alright, well, I think I've talked y'all's ears off enough for one day. We'll save the new city for the next episode. And I think it's the cement truck the one person was messaging us about. But we'll check it out in the next episode, and until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Aw, game over already? Don't worry, there's always more fun to be had later. If you enjoyed your stay, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for visiting Arya's Arcade. Bye-bye!